Peter properly.
No one does, don't worry.
uh, Healy was first introduced to me by this guy right here on an airplane. And I told the story, I think, before the last time he was on. Um, Unfortunately, Joe can't join us today, but there's still lots to talk about that we haven't covered because Peter's been with the company a lot longer than Joe and I have. And he's been using Healy a lot more. He's also more familiar with the products, like the watch and the Mag Healy and the coil and all sorts of products that we haven't even covered on this little podcast. So, um, with that little introduction, I guess we can just talk freely. Um, how long have you been doing this Healy thing, Peter, or the journey? What is the journey for you?
this,
What has it
yes,
been?
this Healy thing. I started in 2019 November, and yeah, it was interesting when I sat down. The interesting part is Healy came to me twice in a way. First time I dismissed it. Um, I guess I wasn't ready, and then the second time when someone on my Facebook shared a testimonial and shared that they've been suffering and how Healy was able to help them. And then I thought, oh, that Healy thing. And then I sat down and looked into it. And yeah, as soon as I sat down and looked into what Healy is, where it comes from, the science behind it, the testimonials, yeah, it was just something that I felt is definitely a true solution for helping humanity, especially through the times that we're going through. Um, we're definitely in some interesting times. You can call it good or bad, but let's just say we're evolving.
I
And with
agree.
generally with evolving, it's not generally any evolution or evolving or leveling up. It's not all sunshine and rainbows and a cruisy road. So, but yeah, I believe Healy is definitely something very powerful, and that's because like Nikola Tesla said, if you want the secrets of the universe, think in terms of frequency, energy, vibration. And we are now as humans understanding even modern science is now accepting and starting to understand that we are not this material physical body and that everything around us is not matter, so to speak. But when you do break it down into its purest fundamentals form, yes, it's energy vibrating at a frequency. So it was very easy for me because I have a very logical, common sense mind. I'm like, if it works with frequencies, well, everything in the universe is basically a frequency. So if you have the frequency for a certain whatever area or thing that you want to change in a way, I suppose, modify or have an impact on, then if you have the right frequency, it makes sense. And I always use the analogy of when an opera singer, hits a note and the glass shatters. That's a perfect example of the resonance effect. When you have the right frequency, you can make a change in material world and in matter. So yeah, it's been a while since I've been with Healy, and it's been definitely a life changer for me and many others. And on two levels, I mean, there's the Healy, which yes, that's why I'm here, because it is fundamentally a true solution. And I mean true solution because I believe we have a lot of band-aid solutions out there that, yes, may give temporary relief from symptoms, but they're not really truly helping to shift the root cause or address the root cause. And so, fundamentally, like I said, I'm here because it is a true solution, but it has also given me and many others in the community freedom and choice. And I've been traveling for 2.5 years, and that's because of the power of this vehicle, and the way that it's distributed is through word of mouth sales, social selling, network marketing, multi-level marketing. There's many terms that people use, but it's purely designed where a company distributes its products and services through word of sales. You know, that's why it's called social selling, because you speak to people, you introduce it to people. They don't put it on shelf. They don't do big marketing campaigns. They don't spend millions on marketing. We are the marketing, so to speak. And so, yeah, they pay us a share of the profits. And so it's a win-win-win-win. You know,
Yep.
people that get a Healy win. Also, they have someone that helps them and supports them, because technically you need a sponsor, and that sponsor is basically the person that shared Healy with you. They will help you to use the Healy, get the benefits from the Healy. And so the company gets, obviously, customers, members, they get an incredible solution for the health and wellness. And for those that really go out there, like myself, and want to share it with the world, we have, yeah, possibilities of complete freedom of choice, and that lifestyle, that laptop lifestyle that everyone talks about. So that's,
Yeah.
yeah, my journey, and yeah, it's exciting being here. It's been an incredible journey, but I feel it's also just getting started. Like, Healy is still relatively young and new, and has gone through a lot of transformation, and it's at its early stages still of that evolution as well. And yeah, there's a lot coming, and so it's exciting getting this out there and making an impact.
Yeah, it's been a fun journey for Melissa and I as well. I mean, we met you in May of, or sorry, March of 2020. So that was just really a few months after you joined on with Healy, and seeing it on you on the plane for me was just a really big sign, because, like I told you before, I've always been into physics and the idea of sound healing and vibrational healing, and for me to see an actual device in real life for the first time, I'm like, it's finally here. And having the experience the last 2 years, I know it's changed our lives, but we're also already fairly healthy people and always seeking alternative, non-pharmaceutical ways to heal ourselves. So for Melissa and I, it was a no-brainer to just have this in our arsenal of other tools for health. But seeing now how it's affected other people's lives around me, um, it's just it's been an incredible thing to see. And I feel like you were talking about resonance. Joe and I were actually going to talk about resonance today. Just the principles of resonance scientifically, to me, are so fascinating that, like you were just saying, there's a frequency, and if you match that frequency, um, then you get resonance. So with these programs, they're constantly running in real time frequencies to our bodies, and allowing our bodies to figure out which ones resonate with us. And the ones that resonate with us, they're going to bring us back into that bioenergetic balance of whatever it is that we're seeking, because we've got, like you said, we're not just a physical body, we're a energetic body. And science is proving over and over again that the energy informs the matter. So the more that we continue to feed our body the right frequencies, the right energy, the matter will just, assemble itself properly. And I think all this stuff was maybe new agey a couple of years ago, but it is becoming more and more mainstream. It really is. And I think the more that I talk about it with people like yourself, the more it becomes clear to me that this is the way forward that we need to go as a human race, for healing, for health. And yeah, that's my 2 cents for that.
I mean, the future is the use, like health, wellness, healing, optimizing, balancing, harmonizing. Yeah, it is the use of frequencies, and that's where we're going. And yeah, there's people like yourself that, firstly, when they see Healy, they get it immediately. And many people have actually said, in this community that have aligned with Healy, they said, I manifested this. Like when they say, it's like, wow, like it's something that literally they've been wanting, craving, waiting for in a way. And it's like they manifested it. And yeah, look, we're all at different parts in our journey. You know, some people get it like this. Some people, of course, are still, you know, just starting on that journey of understanding they're all more than just matter and everything is frequency, energy, vibration. But yes, we are at that time in the world where, yeah, we're moving. Like I said, we're evolving. We're moving away from trying to treat matter and trying to treat the symptom, and that's where, yes, the future will be the use of frequencies. And yeah, what makes Healy so unique is, like you said as well, it real time. It is analyzing what we require and giving us those frequencies to, yeah, bring us back into balance and harmony. And Nuno Nina said something very interesting on a call that just it clicked for me. And so I want to share that because I think it's a really easy way to understand Healy and understand a lot of reasons why it works and how it works. I mean, firstly, you know, Healy is not made to treat, diagnose, cure anything, nor does it have to, right? Because that's not how we actually get back into good health, by treating a symptom, right? All these health issues are symptoms. And so Healy is not treating symptoms. What it does do, though, is it works on the terrain. And this is like when it clicked for me. And that's why Healy has one purpose: to get you back into balance and harmony. When that happens, whether that's on physical, mental, emotional, your chakras, bioenergetically, subconsciously, whatever level you are out of balance and harmony, that then creates disharmony and dis-ease. So when you come back into balance and harmony and you address the terrain, that's all that's needed, and symptoms will go away. And so, you know, it's like when I think of terrain, it's like, let's say you've got a car and your driveway is full of nails and broken glass. And every time you drive on it, you pop your tire and you just keep replacing your tires. Well, you're not addressing the terrain. You can keep replacing the tires. They're going to keep popping every time you drive on it. And this is where, you know, it just really makes sense for me. It's really easy to understand that we're fixing the driveway. Get rid of the nails and the broken glass, and there you go. You won't
Yeah.
have to keep changing your tires and trying to, you know, find ways to not pop your tire. Like maybe I've got the wrong brand of tire. Maybe I go need to see someone to tell me why it keeps popping. You know, and so this is where, yeah, it's all about addressing the terrain and coming into balance, harmony, and that's it. And yeah, so it's very very simple yet powerful, and sometimes even at the beginning can be a bit overwhelming to use the Healy, but it's that's its one purpose.
Yeah. I think one of the things that just came to mind is the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over and over again, expecting a different result, right? And it's like I feel like we've come to a place with the medical system in general, especially Western allopathic medicine. It's like you said, you know, we're driving on this road with a bunch of tacks all the time and change and keep changing the tire and expecting like a different result, expecting the car to be new again, and it's not happening. So I think a lot of people are seeking different ways to heal themselves, find, you know, looking back to nature, uh, taking their vitamins again, maybe essential oils. But to me, this is in that lane because it's been labeled as alternative medicine. But to me, this is more like future medicine. You know what I mean? Like this has never existed before,
Well,
as
it
far as
actually
we know.
has.
Well, as far as we know in our history books, it probably wasn't Atlantis back in the day, but that's a whole nother conversation.
It's
But oh, go ahead.
no, keep going.
I was just going to say, I think frequencies, if we go back to, ancient cultures, frequencies are mentioned a lot, frequency, vibration. And that's what Tesla was talking about even before, he's talking about ancient civilization, wisdom, and knowledge back in the day that we're just now coming to a re understanding of, I believe. And it's that re understanding that is going to shift humanity and raise the vibration. In order to raise the vibration, we have to raise our vibration. Like, start with you, right? Start with me and you and every person out there. If we're all doing this, like Joe and I said this in our last podcast, that if everyone were doing this and then a community was doing this, and then it just grows and grows, we could change humanity overnight. That's the
Dude,
utopian idea, right?
talking about that, it just brought to mind. I don't know if you've been to a Joe Dispenza event. I haven't, but I know what goes on at these events. And to say it, in a way where it may blow people's minds and be like over the top, but people literally going in a wheelchair and walk out of there and they'll never ever need the wheelchair again.
Right.
But the reason like they do that is because of the collective consciousness, all vibrating and all incoherence, healing that person, not just that person, but many people there. And
Yeah.
this is the power that we have. I mean, individually, we're incredibly powerful. One is we've just lost our way. We don't understand our power. We can't harness our power. And that's due to the many, many challenges and issues with the system and the world that we live in. But, individually, we're powerful, but together, I mean, first of all, everything is connected. We are
Yeah.
all connected. But when we all come together with a purpose, with a plan, raise our vibration, incoherence, focused, and focus that energy, that power that we have on something, there is literally no limit to what we
Right.
can do and achieve.
Right.
And so, it's all about, the collective consciousness. And, with this technology alternative, and that's the interesting part. And I think you talked about it on one of your lives, sort of how we got here and the history of modern medicine and
Right.
pharmaceuticals and everything. And it's actually crazy that the natural stuff that grows in the ground that you can find in this natural world is alternative. Yet the toxic chemicals made in a lab is the medicine and the real medicine. And anyway, I invite everyone to look into the history because it's out there. We're in the age of information where whatever you want to find on the internet, you can. Now, it is challenging to navigate the internet because it is just full of so much stuff. But you dig and you dig and you dig and you evaluate a lot of different sources, a lot of different information, you will start to paint a picture. I'm not, it's very challenging to just go on one thing and, okay, this is the truth and this is what happened and this is how it is. But, like you, I've been down the rabbit hole for years and just putting the pieces of the puzzle together and oh yeah, this makes sense. Oh yeah, and I just use my brain a little bit as well and start to use some common sense.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's sad how we've gotten to this place where all the natural medicine, all the natural ways of actually helping, healing, and doing good for humanity was sort of extinct and covered up. And yes, the use of frequencies is one of those because it was
Yeah.
around in the early 1900s.
Yep.
And unfortunately, it was very powerful. Big Pharma didn't like that, so they did put a stop to it, like many, many, many other things, or many, many other people. Because if you are starting to make big waves in truly helping people, and there's many, many stories out there from practitioners and people that, you know, even the laws were literally changed on them overnight,
Yeah.
just to steal or to take away their licenses because they are making such a big difference in the world. Anyway, that's the past, but we
I
are
mean,
evolving,
it's
like I
not
said.
the past. It's still happening. You know,
Still happening,
we are
but not to
still
that
living in
extent,
that.
because the thing is that, like I said, people are starting now to understand that, hey, wait a minute, government, big pharma, and all these organizations and all these, they're starting to ask questions, and they're starting to push back a little bit, and they're starting to uh, look at other alternative solutions. And so, you know, once I suppose you get there, there's no going back. And
Right.
that's why I say we're evolving, because, you know, me and you talking here, some people might watch this, it might start, you know, some questions for them. It might start this journey that, you know, you go down on to evaluate everything in the world and evaluate, because, you know, generally we're taught all these things and we believe all these things, but it's not our thoughts and it's not our beliefs. It just, we soak it up like a sponge from our environment. And
Right.
then, you know, there's some of us that then start to question all these things that are not really adding up or making sense. And like I said, once you get on that path, there's no going back. And
Yep.
that's where I see that more and more are going on that path. Some are, I suppose, further ahead. Some are just starting out. But, you know, us doing this, for example, is already making an impact, and it's going to have that ripple effect.
Right. I
So,
believe that. And I feel like if we continue to do this and we keep at least just pushing out the ideas to get a spark in someone's brain to go down the path. And it the thing that Joe and I talk about all the time is, like you just said, uh, you know, what are our thoughts? What is my thought? You know, really trying to sift through and find out what is your thought, because there is so much propaganda out there, and there are so many people that are buying for our attention, buying for our energy, and implanting thoughts. It sounds very conspiratorial, but it's not. It's true. I mean, pharmaceutical companies are trillion-dollar industries that are buying our attention and telling you, at least in America, every other commercial is a pharmaceutical drug commercial, and they tell you to go ask your doctor about it. It's just crazy to me that that's even legal here, but it's become so normalized. You know, we pharmaceutical uh, industry ads on billboards, magazines, you know, oh, your social media now. You know, I'm scrolling through my social media and seeing stuff for pharmaceutical drugs, and it's um
it's
it's
literally
just,
everywhere.
yeah. And then here's you and me doing a live talking about something different, and there's a lot of us out there that are doing that now. And I think that that's what it's going to take for people to really start thinking differently, because that's what it we have to do. We have to get people to think differently, follow a breadcrumb, go and research yourself, like the stuff you're talking about. Here in America, it's called the American Medical Association, the AMA, is the one that went around and created the Flexner Report to basically eradicate all of the alternative forms of medicine that were in competition with the new allopathic model that they wanted to bring on board to sell drugs to people. I mean,
Yeah.
it's a great business model when you look at capitalism and a system of capitalism. You have to, you know, applaud them and tip your hat to them and say, wow, you really created a great system. You're creating the education for the
Yeah.
drugs to the doctors that are going to then sell it. And it's a closed loop system. And then they also are the ones that do the research and publish um, the clinical trials on their own drugs. So,
and
I
and
mean,
they have they have their organizations like FDA that they fund to make sure that no competition, you know, they don't have any competition. And yeah, everything you said is like dead on. Like
yeah,
they infiltrated, um, you know, all the universities and basically gave them a lot of money to teach their ways. And so, of course, the alternative natural ways, who was going to teach them? Because if they were teaching them, they're not getting they're not getting funding, and also then practitioners as well. Weren't given jobs or weren't given good money. So it was like literally a big monopoly business that took over from every facet from start to finish. And so modern day doctors, general practitioners, are generally drug dealers. That's what they are. And
Yeah.
this is not having a go at them. They are doing the best they can with the tools and knowledge they have. Now, they've been given very poor tools and knowledge. And so it's not their fault, right? But, that's the system. And look, I'm not at all saying drugs are all bad. I use them sometimes. Sometimes things happen in my life. I mean, I had, let me just turn on the lights. It's getting dark and I'm going to disappear soon.
Yeah.
But yeah, so there's an instance with me where I had kidney stones. If you haven't had them, I don't recommend them. it's
I've
it's
heard that it's the most
excruciating.
painful thing ever.
Well, apparently, people compare it to giving birth. That's nearly as bad as giving birth, like the pain. But yeah, it was pretty bad. And so at that time, I'm all for Western modern medicine. Quickly get me to the hospital and pump me full of drugs, right? And that's an instance where, if you need emergency, any emergency help, emergency surgery, whatever, it's fantastic. It's great.
Agreed.
However, for all the other stuff, if you got a disease, an illness, it fails because of like I said, the doctors, the practitioners are equipped with very poor tools and knowledge to be able to assist. And that's because, Big Pharma is purely a business model that's reliant on people being sick and staying sick. So they purchase their products so they can make the trillions and trillions and trillions.
Right. I mean, and
And, there's shareholders and there's all these things. So you've got to keep them happy. So, it's just a business model, and that's what it is. And is it
right.
good or bad? Well, when there's a lot of people suffering because of it, and it's, doing more damage than good, I believe, we've got to start to look at that and go, wait, maybe there's better ways, different
Right.
ways.
And you know, we could just not use it all the time, and use other things like the Healy and really start educating ourselves about different ways to heal ourselves. And I can think a lot of people are feeling lost and overwhelmed, and it's easy to, at least I know here in the States, in order to even go see a doctor, you generally have to have a 40 hour a week job with a corporation or a large company. Once you work those hours, then the company takes money out of your paycheck to pay for you to go see a doctor. So then when you go see a doctor, it's all tied into your life. And to try and think of, if you have a family, getting out of that and doing something different, um, I'm not recommending that here. I'm recommending just seeking other ways to heal yourself. Because, like you said, in the event of a real emergency, like you lose a limb or have some kidney stones or, some traumatic event, Western medicine really excels there, like being able to cauterize a wound and, or, fix your broken bone really quickly and you not feel any pain and wake up and you got a cast on. There's some great things that are happening there. And actually, talking about your kidney stone, did they use resonant frequencies to blast the stone, or did they make you pass the stone?
No, well, I just went. I was actually in Tulum in Mexico at the time when it happened, and no, I just went to.
Dehydrated and lots of beer.
But I mean, even kidney stones, there's a lot of causes, and even kidney stones. I've learned, like, eating healthy food that you would think is healthy, too much of it can be unhealthy. And this is another thing I learned. There's a great quote that I saw once, and it's dead on. Everything in life is poison. It's the dosage that makes it not poison, right? And this is where, we've just got to be mindful that everything that's healthy for us can also be doing things. And, kidney stones is something that gets formed from eating various foods, like, for example, even tofu. So, for example, if you're a vegetarian or vegan and you're eating a lot of tofu, apparently that could produce kidney stones. Now, we're all different,
Right.
and some, our bodies operate differently. Some people it builds up more, for others doesn't. But anyway, yeah. So I was in Tulum, and yeah, I just went to emergency, and no, they it wasn't a advanced um,
Oof.
alternative uh, hospital. It was just a normal hospital. But when I spoke to a Chinese practitioner after, that's actually in Australia, and I told them the whole thing, and I was asking for some guidance, like, kidney stones, I don't want them again. So I was trying to understand, okay, why did I get them? Because I consider myself pretty damn healthy.
Yeah.
And this is where, I've heard so many stories of people being healthy, but getting cancer or getting some disease or illness. And this is where, again, I start to really understand, try to help myself understand, why does that happen? Like, people seem like they're very healthy, right? But this is the problem that I've come to understand, is that just because you eat healthy and you exercise doesn't mean you're healthy. And again,
Right.
eating healthy is all subjective, right? I mean, I could sit here and talk about, for example, eating meat versus not eating meat, vegan, vegetarian, carnivore, which one is the best one? Now, I've literally, from experience, can share what I have gone through and which one I think, in my own opinion, is the most optimal for physical performance and everything. But, just because we think this way is the healthiest because some people said it or because this research says so, it doesn't necessarily mean that's the truth and that's the fact, and doesn't mean that's the best for us.
Right.
And then secondly, when we have these issues that show up, David, you're still there? You're frozen. Are you still there?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Can you
It's
see
okay.
me?
So
Can you hear
yeah,
me?
yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah. It's all good. And then yeah, another thing I was saying is like, and this is coming from some self-realization for myself as well. We're constantly focused on the physical, and I'm generally always doing a lot on the physical, right? Cold therapy, uh, eating organic, watching what I put onto my physical body. That's hair care, that's a personal care products, even toothpaste, all these things. A lot on the physical, but I've not done so much on the emotional and the mental, right? And this is where I've started to understand, if you're constantly stressed, that's where you can develop some of these so-called symptoms like cancer.
Agreed.
And so this is why a lot of these people that, seem to be healthy because they eat healthy, exercise, they look physically in shape and in good health, but a lot of emotional stress, financial stress, all these things will, and are actually worse a lot of the time than, eating bad food. And so, yeah, health is actually a very, very, very complex puzzle, and it's not
Agreed.
one thing. And also, like, just talking about healthcare, I believe that Western countries like USA, Australia, I mean, generally around the world, but more Western countries, they don't have healthcare; they have sick care, right? Healthcare is when you move the body, you are watching what you put into the body. You meditate, you get sunlight, you do all these things. That's health care. Use the Healy. That's another thing to help with health care.
Right.
Sick care is when you haven't done all these things, and then you get the result of not looking after your health and not looking after yourself, and then people go to the doctor to fix that. Well,
Yep.
the doctor can't fix it for you. You need to do the health care,
Right. You
and
need to
then
do
you
the
won't
work.
get sick, and you won't
Yep.
need sick care.
100%. Joe and I talk about this all the time. We were just talking about this actually either last episode or two before the live.
Dave, You're really cutting out bad
Oh no.
your internet.
Can you hear me now? No. Still
You're
still
having,
dodgy?
well, try now, but it's actually telling me here that yes, your connection is bad, but I think it's okay now. Try now.
Shows I've got full bars.
Yeah, I'm not sure,
Still
but
not good?
try again. It seems
Oh
okay.
no. Okay. Um yeah, we were just talking about this a couple episodes ago about mind, body, spirit. And I think particularly men focus on the physical all the time.
Yeah.
That's what we're trained to do. We have to be able-bodied. We have to go out and physically do things. That's kind of like what we're told, and that's inherently how I feel, like I like to feel physically fit. I like to be able to go kayaking. I like to be able to lift heavy shit. I like to do stuff like that. So in order to do that, I have to do things for my physical body so that I can do that. But in doing that, sometimes I think I don't look at the spiritual or the mental enough. And I think over time, now I'm 43 years old. If you go a lifetime without looking at that aspect of yourself, like you said, you could be totally physically fit and everybody thinks everything is fine. And then something happens to you, or an illness or sickness manifests because you spent a whole lifetime only working on 33% of your body, your mind, body, spirit. You still have another 66% of your body to focus on. So what we feed ourselves, like you were saying, is not just food and not just the things that we, toothpaste and the products that we use, but whether we meditate or do something for our emotional, spiritual, mental side of our bodies. And those are also ways that we can develop as humans. And I think meditation has been used for so many years because it's so important to know how to be in control of your thoughts. We started this conversation talking about our thoughts and um, how powerful we are as human beings. And if we were to focus our energy and know how to properly use our mental capacity as well as our physical capacity and our emotional capacity, all of that together is what makes us a human, right? Like we are spiritual bodies having a human experience, not a human body having a spiritual experience. I truly believe that. And that to me always resonates with me. And I think it wasn't until my 40s that really hit. And I've been doing yoga for a long time, but it's been more of a physical practice. I got to be flexible because, I was dancing on cruise ships and doing crazy stuff with my body. So there are things that I had to do physically to get my body where it needed to be, but it was off and on a spiritual experience for me. And it almost was like a light flickering. It's like I knew it was there, but oh, I'll look at that later. I'll deal with that later. And I think for me, now is the time to really explore all of who I am and be open to that. And Healy really has opened up a whole nother level of that, because when you think in terms of frequency, energy, and vibration, all of that, our emotional state, our mental state, our physical body, all of those are different frequencies. They are different forms of energy that surround us that make the physical body. So it even makes more sense to focus on those aspects of ourselves over the physical if you were to really logically break it down.
Well, I mean, we've also come a long way in evolution and in technology and advancing in things. Now, if we think back thousands of years ago, in the caveman days,
Right.
all you had to really take care of is the physical, because you didn't have all this shit, pardon the French, that we have in today's world. And I'll give you just one example. If you go to a major city and you're in a major city, you are constantly under stress. your senses, like, I remember once I was in Barcelona, and any major city you go to, it's just very loud noises. You step out, I'm hearing sirens constantly, loud noises. So my hearing is constantly being bombarded, right? My smell. So I'm walking, I'm smelling rubbish. I'm smelling this. I'm smelling. So my smell senses is constantly bombarded by all these weird, off, disgusting smells sometimes. And then lighting. So also, weird lights, junk lights, all these blue lights that are not good for us. So all our senses are constantly being bombarded in today's society.
Yep.
And then, of course, on top of that, we live in a world where, everyone feels judged. Everyone feels they got to live up to this expectation, their jobs, all these stress, commuting to work, in traffic. So we live in a world that, is so stressful, and stress, it kills your immune system, your mood, your emotions, everything. And so, it is actually right now in today's society that we live in, it's more important to work on, your mental, emotional states more than on your physical, because we don't have to chase, our food. We don't have to walk, up, I don't know, mountains, climbing mountains for our food. It's very easy for a lot of people to get into their car, drive to the supermarket, and drive back. So the physical body is actually not even needed. We should take care of it,
Right.
but we don't rely on it to actually live in the way that they used to. Um, it's just by design. We live in a different world in today, and our emotional and mental is highly stressed. And yes, this is where Healy is a incredible tool that, yes, works on all layers of our existence. And just on the physical, another aspect of just working on the physical, it increases ATP production by up to 500%. And that's one important factor into our cells functioning properly, and overall our organs in our body. And and it increases protein synthesis by up to 70%, amino acid transport by up to 40%. So it does these amazing things on our physical and our cellular level, because it's generally when you have healthy cells, your body is able to function properly, because all our cells, they do hundreds of thousands of processes a second. And so it's very simple. When the cell cannot do its functions, well, then we start to have the issues. And then, the aspect of it working on all the other layers, if you're stressed mentally, you can run a program which is designed to reduce that stress and bring you back in again into that balance and harmony and coherence. And I always like to give this example as well. Like, it works on meridians. And I don't know if anyone watches this. The meridians are essentially energy flows through the body. I suppose say them like pipes, like piping through the body. And if a pipe's blocked, well, nothing can flow, and you start to have build up and issues. And so, one girl had pain in her hand, and she analyzed herself, because that's another incredible thing about the Healy. You can sort of use it to give you guidance and give you insights into what's going on. So the lung meridian came up for her top resonance of what, she basically could really use and benefit from. And yes, she researched as well. And, the lung meridian goes all the way from your hand all the way down your arm to your lung. And so, she ran the lung meridian program, and the physical pain in her hand went away. Now, that's an example of how we are addressing a energetic or a invisible layer of our body or our existence that then translates to a physical response. And that's just one example of, how and why Healy is really powerful and incredible. Because yes, it does all these amazing things on the physical, but it can help with your stress levels, with your sleep, because sleep is that's another thing, right? Health. Sleep is another important factor. And, we live in a world where even me, sometimes I catch myself, like, if I have a few hours or a day that I don't do anything, I'm beating myself up. Oh my God, like I have to do something, like I'm wasting time. No, you can just sit and relax and do nothing sometime. In fact,
Yeah.
it's needed, right? And then we have all this 5 a.m. club. That's a load of shit.
Yeah.
Because if you need to sleep and if you're not well rested, you are literally compromising your health.
Right. And
I
that
don't
is
do
something.
alarms. I don't
Yep.
do alarms anymore. I do not do alarms. Okay, if I have to catch a flight or if to get up for some reason, for sure I do alarm. But I wake up when my body is ready to wake up. That's
Right.
it.
Yeah, that is one thing I have learned from my wife. I used to always be like that, get up early, go to bed late, and just that was my mentality. I'm a go-getter. I'm going to do this. I'm an overachiever, and I can do this. I'm in my 20s. I can
You
keep
can.
going,
Yeah,
keep going,
it's
keep going,
doable.
and she's like, "You need to sleep. You need to like actually sleep." Because I would just, after like 2 or 3 weeks, I would always get kind of sick and then be down. And that's because I'm just run down. My immune system is shot. And thinking that you can just take some Benadryl and keep going, or take some sort of over the counter drug and keep going, it's just the wrong way to go. And that's kind of what we pride ourselves on, is that we can, just keep going and just do it, work through it, like work through the pain, work through the sickness. But you can't do that. That's not a smart way to live. It's not a
Breaking up
formula for
again,
success.
unfortunately.
Did I freeze again?
You're a little bit. I think you're back on it. You're frozen again.
Yeah.
No, you're good now.
Did you
Yeah, I
miss
just
anything?
started to a little bit, but yeah, I think.
Yeah, I'm just saying, learning to rest from her has been a game changer, and always having that mentality and priding myself, in fact, that I could just keep going through it. It's not a recipe or formula for success, or longevity for that matter. And you
No.
see a lot of people that are our age, and they look like they are on their deathbed because they have gone, they're trying to raise a family, and from a man's point of view, that's what they think that they need to do, and they're the provider, and they're going to keep going and keep going, and they're overweight, and their guts are sticking out from inflammation, and their hair is falling out, and they're stressed, and it's a whole thing that's, I think, plaguing uh our sex, men.
Yeah, I mean, yes, it's men are obviously men, women, very biologically different, mentally, emotionally different, built differently. I mean, we're generally biologically designed to be the hunter, the provider, the protector, and that's where the feminine comes and balances that, and brings in the feminine energy, the love, the grace, the ease, the family. But yeah, I mean, we do live in a world where, yeah, there's many issues. I mean, we can talk about this for hours, but there's many challenges and issues. And yeah, it's just about realizing and understanding that, you know we need to do what's good for us, and we need to stop listening to these so-called experts. Yes, you can listen. It doesn't mean it's good for you, right for you. It's the best way for you. It's the truth, right? It's about finding your way, doing from experience. There's another thing, so many people um, speak about something, and you ask them, have you tried it? No. Just like, well, how can you have an opinion on it? Or
I
how
say
can
that
you
all the
say
time.
it's good or bad if you haven't tried it? And so, yeah, it's just we get caught up. Like I said, even I get caught up sometimes because, we live in a world where, yeah, we have access to a lot of information. And so you see on social media, especially, all these successful people, and they're saying, oh, I get up at 5 a.m. And yeah, you got to get up. Otherwise, you're not going to be successful. And so what you think? Yeah, oh, well, look, he's very successful. I've got to get up at 5 a.m. And you get up and you're like freaking a zombie. You're dead and you're sacrificing your health and you're thinking, I'm doing the right thing. When some people can actually function quite well on a few hours of sleep. And then there's some people that need 10 hours. Now, if you need 10 hours, there's maybe something deeper that needs to be addressed why you need that long, because generally I think about 6 to 8 hours is sort of the optimal human, sleep. But yeah, I think any less or any more, there's maybe some questions. And like I said, I'm not here to tell people what to do, but just do what's good for you. And if you are getting up to alarm and then you feel dead and tired and you have to be on coffee and you're constantly getting sick, there's something that you need to address and there's something you need to look at because what you're doing ain't working.
Agreed. Agreed. You were saying earlier you touched on meridians, and I think what really clicks for me with meridians and really just all of this, we bring it back down to the quantum level, and you talk about subatomic particles. We look at subatomic particles and we realize that it's 99.9% empty space, and it's just electricity that's happening in there. So when you're talking about just addressing any issue within the body using frequencies, it makes sense that these meridians, that Chinese medicine and Ayurvedic medicine have always talked about chi running through the body, prana running through the body. It, I mean, they knew the solution to everything.
Oh yeah.
And like you said, the information has always been out there, and this idea of frequencies, they've always been out there. I mean, they use sound healing, sound baths with gongs and crystal bowls and bells and all sorts of. Now we've got whistles and tuning forks. And what's different to me about the experience with Healy in general is that it's reading your energy in real time, so it knows. And that to me is what blows my mind every single day when I run the Resonance app. Like I went and got, like, just full disclosure, I don't care, like me and Joe talk about everything, we're like open book. I went and got a haircut yesterday, and now I'm getting older, like they waxed my ears and waxed inside my nose and all of that stuff. I came and did the resonance on my body. It said beauty programs, skin and hair, number 2. And it's like, that stuff, how does it know? Like, it never tells me to do that. But the day after I, rip some skin off and cut some hair, and it's like it's telling me to do that. And the same thing goes for, like, if I run the resonance like after a hard workout, it always tells me to do like regeneration or anything in the performance or weight in the fitness programs. And how it's able to know what's going on in real time, to me, still to this day,
Look,
actually blows my mind.
I don't think we're ever going to truly, really comprehend that. But yes, it is something incredible about the Healy because, for many reasons. One, you can use it to actually, like you said, analyze and gain insights, right? And when I say gain insights, Healy is not a silver bullet that's going to just tell you exactly, because the Healy is guided also by you, right? And so your intuition, your conscious, your subconscious, your focus, what you want, so you can actually guide the Healy. And that's why I guess you get everything that shows up because it's what you are doing and you are guiding it, and it's what's going on in your life where you need what you need. So yeah, so you can get good insights, and like I said, the perfect example is where the girl had the lung meridian come up, which is basically giving insights into, okay, there's something with your lung meridian. And then so that's the first thing, is that you can diagnose in a way or analyze, see what's sort of going on, and then you can then harmonize that part or that area or optimize. And it's real time because, like I said, sound healing and all these things, they're amazing, but like they just put out a frequency and hopefully it works, and hopefully it works for everyone, but it ain't gonna work for everyone because we are not all the same and we're all completely different. And that's what's so unique about the Healy, that it is, yes, real time analyzing. And so when you do use and run a program, and a program is essentially hundreds of different frequencies that are known to work on that area or on that symptom or whatever. So let's say you use the hair program. So there's hundreds of different frequencies, and then it's analyzing which one you need but at that exact moment. Because if you run the hair program the next time, you're going to need completely different frequencies. And that's what's so unique, that you can actually never, ever, ever run the exact same program twice, because it's always going to be different based on what you need at that moment. So yeah, its ability to help understand, analyze and guide, and then its ability to then harmonize, optimize. It's basically, as far as I know, and as also from understanding a lot of other practitioners, is there's nothing really out there except obviously Time Waver in its ability to do all these things, and then also to work with the information field, which is ultimately how it does analyze. But where and then lastly, like I said, what else is out there that works on your physical, mental, emotional chakras, meridians, and it's able to tap into all layers of our being. It's just the most powerful tool you could have. And like I said, it ain't the silver bullet, because you still got to do all those other things: eat well, move the body, get sunlight, earthing, grounding. But it is definitely something that, is very powerful. And I believe everyone should have one. That's why I'm aligned with Healy, because I'm going to go tell the world.
I'm with you, man. I'm. It's taken me a while to get there, but what's interesting is my, the experience that I had with the first year, and then the 2 years following was the pandemic. So, and then that Melissa and I were traveling the world, and then kind of got locked down in the States because of the pandemic. So much change has happened, and uh, we're going through a lot of transformation here. But Healy has helped that whole thing. It's really helped the whole process. So I go back to wanting to shout it out to the rooftops, because I really think if I didn't have it through this whole transition, things would have been a lot different. You know, um, yes, I do yoga. Yes, I eat healthy, and yes, I meditate and try and do everything that I can. But this was a whole another level of comfort, I guess, just throughout the whole situation.
And it's good that you use it, because that's another thing about the Healy. Sometimes, not sometimes, but we do also live in a world where people want things instantly,
Yeah.
and they're not very patient, and they're not very consistent and persistent. And so, you know, the more you use the Healy, that's when you start to really see and understand the benefits. And it's about being consistent. And there's so many people. Like I know a lady that literally suffered. She had 7 brain surgeries and has been suffering her whole life. He literally changed her life. And then I asked her the other day if she's still sort of using it, and not really. And it's like it literally helped her when nothing else could, but she gave up on it after it helped her so tremendously and immensely. And this is where I realized about people, that um, they're not really willing to be consistent and persistent, even with things that are really helping them. And like, exercising, I mean, that's another aspect of, it's very simple, right? We all know, move the body, watch what you sort of eat. And physically, you should be pretty good. If you look at America, what is it like? I don't know the obesity rate now. Is it like 80% or something? So we all sort of know what to do, but no one's doing it. No one moves the body. No one is out there moving the body and doing some of these very basic things that everyone knows. So we know how we can improve our health and wellness, and we know what helps, but doing is a whole other,
Yep. I mean, you
thing.
said it earlier. We live in a society where we don't have to use our body. We don't.
Well,
We
that's
could
that's
we could literally work at home from the laptop, order the groceries, never leave, never move, never. It's like that film Wally. If you
yeah.
wanted to, you could totally do that and have an existence like that, an experience like that.
People do. I
Yep.
mean, unfortunately, very sad, but there's literally people that are so obese they literally cannot leave their bed. And that, like, how we have gotten to that it's actually fucking sad.
Yeah.
Like, how have we gotten there, and how we have allowed society to get there and not look and go, there's something really wrong here. That
Right.
should not happen.
Well,
And
even further than that, instead of even asking the question, we have TV shows now where we watch people who can't get off of the couch, and and we watch it like
oh
that's
yeah,
entertainment.
and not just that, but we're starting to normalize obesity. And this is what really frustrates me. Is I'm all for self-love and acceptance, but I'm not for being obese and pretending that's okay, because obesity is a sign of being unhealthy. It's a ticking time bomb for many serious problems that then lead to basically death. So, a serious disease and illness is basically your body telling you, fucking do something now, or there's going to be some serious repercussions. So when it gets to that, but the point is, yeah, we're starting to normalize obesity, and we're sort of tiptoeing around it, and you can't offend people and you can't speak about it because it's fine to be obese in today's world and society, and that's basically saying it's fine to be unhealthy and fine to be a ticking time bomb. um, and that's the crazy part. So it's sad, but
Well,
people are waking up.
it also
And
may be part of the larger agenda for people to still be sick and,
of course,
fat, sick, and nearly dead. Have you seen that movie? Fat, sick. Is that what it is? Fat, sick, and nearly dead?
no,
Or
I don't think I've seen that one, but I see it daily.
it's
It's the
true.
sad part. It's
It
it's
is.
it's the sad part. Like, and what's even sadder is when I see young kids, like obese children. I'm like, that's really sad because it's not
Yeah.
their fault.
Yeah.
And again, I'm not, and even sometimes it's not even the parents' fault, but it is. I'm sorry. They're also doing the best with the tools and knowledge they have, and they have poor tools and knowledge. But it's just really sad seeing the children, if they're already obese, then. So yeah, sad.
Well, I think it also goes to, I think about my grandma and my mom and those two generations. When you go back just two generations here, a brand, say, that made butter or some kind of product, that now fast forward 100 years, the ingredients are not the same.
Oh,
Most of the case. There are some brands out there that have stayed true, and they shout from the rooftops that they're still doing the same thing and it's still three ingredients or whatever. But for the most part, the evolution of a lot of these companies that have made products that we ingest every single day, they're not the product that our grandma had back in the day. They're now not even food, just a bunch of chemicals and synthetic things slapped together that still taste like butter and then still melt on the toast and kind of look the same, but it's not the same. And you talk about pretty much all of the diet that we have here is based off of the major crops, which is corn, wheat, soy, and all of those are genetically modified, changed, sprayed with pesticides, chemicals, ground up, fed to the animals we eat if you eat meat, and fed to you in the form of chips and cereal and treats and candy and frozen foods, and the list goes on and on and on. So if you're a person who is our generation, who is just listening to our family, our grandma or our mom, and eating the same thing that they ate, it's not what they used to eat anymore. It's
no.
completely different. And so, like you said, it's not their fault sometimes. I agree, because I mean, there is knowledge out there and there's the internet. And if you had a logical brain like you and I, we're the type of people that want to go and ask all the questions, and if there's no answers, ask more questions. If there's no answers, ask more questions. We I feel like are the nth degree people, and Joe is the same way. But not everybody is like that, and a lot of people do have valid excuses, like having three children and no time, and so they just continue to get that cereal or continue to buy that butter or that bread, and they're now the third generation eating what their grandma ate, and they're obese and they don't know why, you know?
Yeah, look, and like I said, I'm not here to blame people, and but it is choice. We all have choices in life. Now, I'm not saying they're easy choices. I'm not saying people don't have challenges and a hard time and a hard life, but we've got to stop, making excuses and justifications for not doing what we need to do to change our life in a positive way. It's only going to harm us. So we can justify and make excuses, but who's it really hurting and harming? Only us.
Right.
So, but yeah, with what you said, I mean, this is a perfect example. I don't know about in USA, but in Australia, for example, all the major supermarkets, they had an aisle, or sometimes it wasn't even a full aisle, just half an aisle, that was called the health food section.
Yep. We
So
have
what the
that.
fuck is the rest of the supermarket?
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the health
Exactly.
food. Now, even the
Right.
health food is questionable,
Right.
but that was at least somewhat more normal. But basically, it's very simple. If you buy food and it has an ingredients list on it, it ain't natural. Even if it's got natural ingredients, it's not good for you because it's going through a process. And that process that it went through is probably messed it up and caused all sorts of problems. And that's
Yep.
why, yes, your grandma and grandma's grandma and so on, yes, they purchased things, but you know where they purchased it? From the neighbor, or they went to a local little supermarket, and that person that owns a supermarket literally made it and put it in like a jar or in a plastic bag, maybe, or in a paper bag. And that's what they're selling. It's all natural, normal, uh, natural ingredients and natural foods versus made in a lab from, yeah, like you said, endless toxic preservatives, colors, um, ingredients, and it's just, yeah, the food that we're eating today is not food. That's the biggest problem. I mean, I generally don't even go to supermarkets. I literally don't.
Yeah.
I go to little butchers or organic farms or whatever, and I sort of know where the food is coming from. And like I said, I'm always trying to stay away from anything that's packaged with an ingredients list, because if it is likely not good for you. Now, don't get me wrong, I still eat ice cream and indulge in a packet of chips and whatever. I'm human, and with being human is we are not perfect. We never will be perfect. Perfect doesn't exist. And if you strive to be perfect, and this is why a lot of people also fail with diets, because they try and be perfect. Doesn't work. And also, of course, tired is generally where I stop what I'm doing now, my poor habits, my poor lifestyle, and for a short amount of time, I will do this. I'll lose some weight. I'll maybe feel better. And then I go back to my old lifestyle. What's the point of that? That's why it's yo-yo. It's called yo-yo dieting.
Yep.
And so it's very simple. That's very simple. Just change your life, have healthy habits 80% of the time. And that 20%, you won't notice so much. And that's where you can indulge and have your ice cream and your pizza and your packet of chips and your chocolate. And even then, when you go for those, try and find the healthier alternatives that don't contain literally toxic synthetic chemicals and colors and preservatives. Try and go for the more natural. Sometimes I even made my own ice cream. It was just literally frozen bananas and some organic maple syrup.
Yep.
Oh, and some
Yeah. Look,
cashews. That's
I
it.
know if if somebody's watching this right now and you're overwhelmed, I think this is a I don't know about you, Peter, but for me, this has been a long journey for me. Like literally the last 20 years, really. I started realizing the food wasn't right. I wasn't feeling right. And I went down a path to try and find better ways. But for me now, and for Melissa and I think we still like to indulge, like you said, but we find better options. So we'll like, if we want ice cream, we've got like two brands that we go to now. Like this is what we'll get because it still tastes great. I'm not missing out on what I was feeling like I was eating before. Going out and having junk food, but this time I'm eating ice cream that's either banana mashed up with some maple syrup with some dates in there, and then some dark chocolate, and when it's all together, it actually tastes like the junk food ice cream that I was eating before. So if you can start somewhere, start with one product at a time. Something that you eat all the time, like say you eat bread every day, find a better alternative, find a better bread, and then go through three different brands and find the one that you like the most and replace it, and then start replacing things in your diet that are better choices, because they're out there. They Thankfully, we do have an aisle or an aisle and a half that generally has healthy food everywhere we go. But we also have this grocery stores called Whole Foods, which is generally pretty great. They only
Yeah.
allow brands that are non-GMO and free range, and there's a whole long list to even get your product within these grocery stores. And they generally still have created a fair price market, because people still have to compete within that realm. So there are a lot of great ingredients, and the produce aisle is humongous there. So
Yeah, well, that's one easy. First of all, like you said, yes, this is a journey, and this isn't not an overnight change, um, But yeah, for example, just going shopping at Whole Foods versus your local normal supermarket's already a big change, because most of the products that you buy from there are already a lot better. But yeah, it is a slow process of analyzing everything you're doing and looking for better, healthier ways. And, even eating, like, it's a long journey. Like, I didn't eat meat for about 5 years. Now I eat meat again. And this has been a huge learning of what it feels like for me without meat, sort of more just plant based in a way. And now where, I've put meat back in, and how I feel literally so much better with meat. So it's been a big wake up for me that I heard these uh, studies and all these things that vegan is the healthiest, way of eating and the healthiest diet. Well, I can tell you from my experience, it ain't. And so I can only speak from my experience, but again, it's a long journey, even just food, like listening to the body. We can all eat different things, handle different things. Someone can eat cucumber, someone else can't eat cucumber because their body can't digest it, can't metabolize it, can't handle it. So, and yeah, there's perfect examples out there. I mean, I forgot his name now. Jordan, yeah, Jordan Peterson, I think. Have you heard of him?
no,
So him and his daughter practically only eat meat. That's it.
the carnivore
Nothing
diet.
else. But it's not by choice. Okay. I think it was Kayla, Jordan Peterson's daughter. So she had some seriously messed up health issues. She could only be awake for like 6 hours a day. Like that's how exhausted she was. She had all sorts of skin conditions, issues, so many health problems. It was ridiculous. And they just couldn't work out what the hell was going on. So, and this started as a child. So when she was an adult, she started to experiment with food, and obviously went fully vegan as well, went natural, nothing, as far as toxic or preservatives or anything. And she just started eliminating a lot more things. And then at one stage, she started to realize that she felt better and there was slight improvements. Long story short, she realized the only thing she can eat is meat. Anything else, her body will literally go into major health issues. And when I mean major health issues, she couldn't. She realized that even eating a salad with her meat messed her body up for like 30 days, for like a month, like bedridden and everything.
Jesus.
So that's my point: is don't let anyone tell you what's good for you and what's the best way for you. And the same with Jordan Peterson. I mean, he's healed gum disease just by eating meat. Gum disease is incurable. Well, according to doctors.
Right.
He's cured depression. He's cured gum disease. He feels the best he's ever felt, and all he's eating is literally meat. In fact, it's quite funny when you watch some of his interviews. He doesn't even eat like any sauces or nothing. He just goes, it's plain. He goes, I can't socialize. He goes, it's fucking boring. He hates it in a way, but it's not very fun as well. But that's what's best for his body.
Right.
And you think of that, like I used to think of that and go, that's freaking insane. That's unhealthy. Well, according to all the research, meat gives you cancer and all these blah, 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 blah. Yeah, no, it doesn't actually. If you actually look at anecdotal evidence and experiences from people, a lot of people that used to be vegan or vegetarian, as soon as they introduced meat, they started healing. They started fixing so many health issues. So why is that happening?
Right.
Happened to me, happened to my friend that didn't eat meat for 10 years, happened
Yep.
to so many people I know, literally, I actually know. So for me, it's like, okay, I've realized some things here by experience, by friends' experiences, that I think I've worked out what's sort of more optimal. But the point is, there's a time and a place for everything. Veganism, vegetarianism, all these things, there's pros and cons to it. I'm all wholeheartedly believe in the not harming and doing the less possible impact on other beings. But I mean, at the end of the day, it's about me, and I have to be at my best. And if I have to consume meat, then I will do that, because if I don't, then I can't operate my fullest. And at the end of the day, this is a hierarchical, society. A lion doesn't feel bad for going to eat a gazelle or a deer or a zebra. It's a survival of the fittest, and
Right.
we are the apex predator.
It's part of
Um,
nature.
so yeah, the point is, yes, it's a long journey of discovery, of understanding, of trial and error, and some things are easy, some things are a bit harder. But look, as long as, like I said, a good rule of thumb for food, if it ain't got an ingredients list, you're pretty well on the right track.
Want to hear a funny story?
Go on.
I tried becoming a vegetarian and then going vegan for like a year. And I was training for a marathon. I was running a lot, and I was realizing that just eating certain things were really upsetting my stomach, probably because I was running way too much and working way too much, but I didn't really look at that side of my life. But anyway, I started thinking it's the meat. So I cut out meat, went vegetarian, was feeling good for a little bit, and then started having this reoccurring dream that I was a Tyrannosaurus Rex eating other dinosaurs. And so I was seeing, like the little arms and like the eating, like it was so bloody. There was so much gore. And then I wake up and be like, what the hell was that? And after the third time of having that dream, I was like, fuck it, I need to eat meat again. And then I was fine. I was
Do you know
fine.
what? You know what's funny, dude? Do you know why I started eating meat? So I went vegetarian, and the why doesn't really matter, but I went vegetarian, and I got to a place where I looked at meat and it actually disgusted me. Now, I got to a point in my life where, like you, I was catching myself scrolling on the phone, looking at people cooking meat and eating meat, and I'm like, what the hell is going on? And I'm like, what the fuck? And then just started thinking about meat more and more and noticing it. So literally my body started asking for it.
Yeah.
My friend, after not eating for 10 years, he started having dreams about a souvlaki like meat, like a chicken souvlaki. And it was just happening all the time.
Yeah.
And yeah, but that's the signs your body is trying to tell you something.
I believe that, man. I believe, like you said, trial and error, everybody is different. And we've both gone through the process of trying to do something different and then going back to eating meat again because our body is telling us it needs meat. It needs
But
it.
that's, if you just look at the healthiest societies on the planet and history, meat has always been a huge, important role and part. And if you look at some of these Amazon tribes, right, that are still existing, which is, becoming less and less, they eat primarily meat, and it's like even raw meat,
Yeah.
And these guys live up to 140, 130 minimum, and no gray hairs, no nothing, no disease, no illnesses. Okay, they don't have a lot of the environmental shit and stress and all that as well. But the point is, physically, they just basically eat meat. And that's what I realized a lot of the time, that, and I started to understand a lot through this journey, right? I mean, I can go on and on, but I've
Yeah.
discovered also that every plant contains poison. That's how they generally protect themselves, right? An animal runs away. It's got paws, it's got teeth, it can bite, so that's its protection methods. Plants have poison, and they have a lot of toxic things in them. And so when you are a vegetarian or a vegan, what are you consuming? Only plants. So it's full of poison. And then you're just building up. And that's why I think a lot of people first potentially may thrive and feel somewhat better on a plant-based diet. But that's also for, I believe, a lot of other issues, because, if I look at myself, before I went vegetarian, I used to eat like rubbish, right? So there was no conscious eating.
Processed foods
It was
and
just exactly processed food.
yeah.
So just by me eliminating a lot of that shit, but it had nothing to do with eliminating actually quality meat. I
Right.
eliminated a lot of shit because I became more conscious of choosing my food and eating healthier. So I think that's why I felt better. But then over time, it started to that feeling, and then it started getting bloating and not feeling the best, and some skin issues and all these things. And then I started to really do some research, and just putting all these pieces together, and just listening to endless people that used to be vegetarian, vegan, and struggled, had major health problems, their gums, their teeth, everyone bloating, and they literally ruined their gut. Introduced animal products, pretty much
Fine.
healed themselves. So I'm
Yep.
like, it seems to be a recurring theme. So, so yeah, I'm not saying people don't go vegan, don't be a vegetarian, but and
It's our
sometimes
experience.
there are some people that maybe meat doesn't work for them,
Right.
and they can do it, and if you can, great, because it's maybe, I suppose, definitely better for the environment and definitely better for other beings. But if I'm suffering, then I got to do what I got to do to be my 100%.
Yeah, at the end of the day, where I'm at now is just quality. Anything quality. Like if I'm gonna eat meat, I'm eating quality meat. And also I've when people tell me all the time, "Oh, I can't afford organic or it's too expensive." I'm like, "Yes, you can. You just have to minimize your choices." Right? So I I will sometimes just eat like the same thing all week, like eggs and spinach for breakfast, and then like a chicken breast at night with some broccoli and rice, and then have that for the week, and then change it up for the next week. But for me, instead of and then that's literally all I eat. I don't indulge in like candy bars and extra stuff. And if I'm really on track, I mean, I do travel and indulge and have my moments, but for the most part, when I feel like I'm feeling the best, it's just the balance of having quality ingredients. You checking in on us?
Oh, look,
Oh, hey.
he's in a car, but look at the background. Oh,
Yeah, I know.
nice.
Yeah, I was copying
Yeah.
your background, but I'm actually driving.
What what are you
Oh my
doing?
God. Sorry, I didn't mean to. But I did. Long story short, I figured it out where I can shut this off while you guys are on there. But I was listening, and
Yeah,
then
we're
all of a
still
sudden
live, but welcome to the
it
party.
just brought me in. And now I'm driving, and I can't even focus on how to get out of here. So you're coming with me to the grocery store. Continue on.
Okay, we're basically talking about food and diet, which, you're going to the grocery store. That's funny. But what I was saying is just quality in general, right? Like if I'm going to go eat meat, I'm going to eat quality. And a lot of times, the people that say, "Oh, I can't eat meat," or "I can't eat this," are they talking about quality, or are they just talking about they've been eating shit for so long and they feel like shit, so they don't really know? And I say the same thing when people are like, "I don't like tequila." I'm like, "What tequila have you had?" And they're like, "Jose Cuervo." I'm like, "That's not tequila. That's not quality. That's not good tequila."
I don't know.
Am I cutting out?
I don't know if it's my internet. Yeah, you're cutting out a bit there. Yes,
Oh
Joe looks like
man,
he's completely frozen.
he just came in.
No, I think you're good now.
Oh yeah, I was just saying quality in general is what I shift to, because a lot of people will say, "Oh, I
Yeah,
don't like
I'm still
I don't
here.
like steak or I don't like chicken
See
or
you
I don't like
later.
this." I'm
I
like, "But you're probably having meat that's injected with hormones and all sorts of bad chemicals and it doesn't taste the same anymore and it's not good for your body. That kind of meat isn't." And I say the same thing about people like I'm like, "Do you like tequila?" They're like, "No, I hate tequila." I'm like, "What have you had?" They're like, "Jose Cuervo." I'm like, "That's not tequila. That's not good tequila." Like if you've had a quality something in general, that's the better choice. And that's where we can start to find out what we actually do and don't like because most of the food out there, like we were saying, is processed or has chemicals or it's not good for us or is poison, like you were just saying.
So, talking about all this food, I got to go eat.
I know we just been ranting.
No, but I actually fasted for 2 days, 2.5. Today's my first eating day. I did already eat once, but starving.
Nice.
And yeah, we'll wrap it up. It's been great. And I suppose just to wrap it up, yeah, for anyone that is obviously interested and curious to learn more about the Healy, let us know. We're here to help you with the information, with the questions, with the concerns.
Yeah.
And there's an amazing promo right now, 40% off. So it's a great time to get yourself one of these incredible health care devices and products. And yeah, and it's been great. And hopefully we've added some value. And yeah, about experiencing and going on this journey of self discovery and stop listening to other people because no one knows what's good for you. Only you know what's good for you.
And you got to try it through experience.
Well, yeah, that's definitely another thing. And oh
Yeah.
yeah, and I wanted to say like everything you touched on, like people say I can't afford it, I can't afford to eat organic. Well, I always tell people you can. Now you may have to maybe cut back on some other areas of your life, but is health if you don't have your health, what else do you have? I'm not saying some people are, financially doing well, but hey, that as well, we can shift. Again, I'm not saying it's easy, but Healy is literally a perfect vehicle. I was dead broke before Healy. Now I make multiple six figures. I travel and I live my life exactly how I want. And many people have done that, and many people are doing that. So if you actually are in a position where you are financially not doing well, you can change that with Healy as well, or there is other ways and means. Um, now, yeah, like, and an example is a lady literally purchased a Healy the other day, and I loved her attitude because she said to me, "I can't afford it, but I'm going to make it happen." And within a few days, you purchased the professional, which is the top edition, the most expensive edition. And that's the perfect attitude. And that's how I was as well. I was dead broke. I could not afford to purchase a Healy at that point in my life. That's a whole other long story. But I purchased the most expensive edition as well. And so when we want something and when we want to change our life, we want to make a positive impact, we can do it. We can find the way, or we can
Yeah.
find the excuses. But to wrap it up, in life, you can have results or excuses, but you can't have both.
Amen, man. Thanks for those of you that don't know again, I met Peter in Australia and he's actually in Budapest right now. So I really appreciate you finding the time to make this happen. I know our time zones are different and I hope we get to do this more often.
For sure. No, it's been great. And yeah, it's good just jumping on, talking, sharing, because I know a lot of my lives, which is essentially a miniature of this talking, and then a lot of people get good value out of it. And so we all have something to share, experiences to share, something to, help people in their journey, on their journey. So yeah, for sure, we'll do it again.
Yeah, man.
Well,
Enjoy your food.
thank you. Yes, and yeah, speak soon. And for everyone that watches or is watching live or is going to watch the replay, thanks for listening, and hope to speak to you and connect with you soon.
Yeah. Peace, brother.
Peace out. How do I stop this now? Leave. Oh, yeah, there it is.
Leave in the upper right. Yeah.
I am leaving to eat.
Go.